this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 reality transurfing ideas that totally transformed my life, and I'm going to share with you exactly how you can apply it so that you get a similar result. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my personal stories of things that have changed my life when it comes to reality transurfing. And I think that if you apply these 3 central ideas that you're going to start to see similar results if you apply them. And let me first off just say and give this video context and say that if you haven't heard of reality transurfing before, it's a manifestation process, or really more so a philosophy for ways that we can see the world. And it's something that was written in Russia by a Russian quantum physicist named Deem Zealand. And it has to do with understanding, and it brings into this understanding of parallel realities, that there's an infinite number of parallel realities that exist, that it is what is called the alternative space, and there's different variations of that depending upon our intention, our state of being, our beliefs, and our focus. And it helps us really understand more of a perspective when it comes to law of attraction, of how to let go of the outcome, and how as we are setting intentions, we literally are shifting ourselves to the parallel realities, or to the quote-unquote life tracks of what we want to experience. Now first off, the first step to this is just simply setting intentions. If you set intentions, those will drastically change your life. And when you start to do that, it's like you start to give focus for what direction you're going in. Whereas before, sometimes we might feel like we're in a boat that's just kind of stagnating. When we put up intention, we put up a sail, and we start to then move powerfully in the direction that we want. Now there's this other part of reality transurfing that has to do with desire. Normally we think of in the traditional LOA teachings or law of attraction teachings, it's, oh, if you have a desire, that's a really good thing because desires fuel manifestation. Well, that's only true if desire is translated into what is called intention, which is that will, the desire, the expectation to go in a certain direction, or it's translated into action. And action helps dissipate that desire. So the idea is, if I'm here right now, I'm like, oh, I desire to put up my hand, and I just desire it, it doesn't do anything. But if I desire it and set intention to do so, then guess what? My hand goes up. So that's the most easy, it's one they use in the book, and it's the most easy way to understand it. Now there's this other part of understanding what are called pendulums. Pendulums are these thought structures that are created, that when multiple people are thinking similar things, these thought structures create, and it creates a momentum of its own. So the idea is all of our thoughts have an electromagnetic type reality, and that when we become aware of this, we can see that a lot of times we think we're having our own thoughts, when in reality, we're thinking thoughts of what are called the pendulums. So this is when we're thinking of and feeding into the news, and we're like, oh, this is good, this is bad, or I'm Republican, I'm Democrat, or any of those sports teams, or anything. I'm not saying any of these are really, really bad, but I am saying that many times we think we're having our own thoughts, and we're actually feeding and feeling the energy of a pendulum. That's why you may enjoy going to a baseball game more so than just watching it on TV, because when you're there, you absorb into the pendulum itself from an energetic standpoint, and you feel that rush of energy. However, it's about being aware of the pendulums, because then when you become aware of them, you start to let go of the pull of it. You start to create your own reality versus kind of unconsciously being a part of everyone else's. So it's like you almost become the hero of your own movie versus being the cameo in everyone else's movie, because you're just kind of like going through with the pendulums. So those, I would say, are the important parts of reality transurfing. There's another part that has to do with understanding the power of doing what you love and how that puts you on the highest life track. It's almost like as you increase your state of being, you start to go on more and more favorable life tracks, or you start to create more and more favorable parallel realities that what you want to experience. That's why state of being is so important. So that's just kind of a general overview. I know I say that in a lot of videos and kind of explain it, but I think it's just really helping to wire it in. But also, in case you haven't seen it, now you know, and it makes this video make a little bit more sense. So the first idea that has totally transformed my life, and I'll explain to you how, is understanding decreasing the level of importance. So I have such a goal-getter attitude. I'm kind of like a the Gary Vaynerchuk type mentality. I'm very much like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. You know, I get up every day. I just got up, I'm creating 3 videos, I'm gonna edit those 3 videos, I'm gonna do all this to-do lists. And the energy that I used to do those with was, in a way, not a desperation, but it was definitely to get somewhere else. You know, it was like, oh, you know, now we're at 200,000 subs or more, but it's like, oh, now I want to get to more than that. I want us to grow to 500,000 or 1 million. And it's almost like the energy underneath what I was doing was making it so important that I was starting to resist it. And even though I was taking a lot of action, it was almost like that action had resistance woven into it. So things would happen that would just kind of bump up, and I would get reminders every now and then. It's like, dude, just chill out. You know, I would like some things, you know, I'd get real frustrated online because I do a lot of stuff on computers, and I'd get frustrated if that something on my website wasn't, you know, working perfectly. You know, I've been really just over the last like 5 months really learning as much as I can about, you know, how to use website and marketing and all of this stuff with emails, and it's like, you know, there's so much to it, and I get frustrated if it's taken me so long to figure something out, you know, and I would always get these reminders like, dude, chill out, you know. In the longest time, I haven't even seen a movie. I haven't gone to a movie theater and watched a movie in like a year until like a couple weeks ago. I watched Black Panther, you know, or no, not a couple weeks ago, it was literally just a week ago. I watched Black Panther, and I enjoyed myself, and it wasn't like I had to, you know, push myself so hard. I was like, you know what, I work so hard. I literally get up every day, I'm working, I go to the gym halfway through my day, and I come back home and I work. But I love what I do, so it doesn't really feel like that. But the energy from which I'm doing it now is I'm not making these goals in the future so important. Before, I was so identified with them. I was like, I need to do this, 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 and this. I want to get to this in like the next 2 months. I want to be traveling and doing speaking, and guess what? Those things are coming to me more easier than ever because I'm allowing things to happen rather than trying to force things to happen. This is from the energy from which it's coming from. I've decreased the level of importance of saying that I really, really, really desire this, which also vibrationally says I really, really, really don't currently have this. So vibrationally, I'm more so like, how can I enjoy this present moment? How can I understand that it's not so important that I get there because I can already feel like I am there. I can already feel like I'm doing what I love. I know I will eventually get there, but it's more so about how can I decrease the importance, because anytime we decrease the level of importance for something, we also start to feel into it more. You may have realized this if any time you're like, oh, I really, really want to attract a person into my life, and then you put that person on a pedestal that you were attracted to, and then you ended up resisting it and it just fell through because that person felt the resistance, or just balancing factors come into play. That's another part of reality transurfing, is there's always these balancing factors that come into play. So if we really, really, really want something, many times, unless we translate that into intention or we start to embody it, then what happens is that stays a desire, and that creates what is called excess potential. And that excess potential, that excess energy has to be balanced out. And the way it gets balanced out is many times you just don't get it, because then it makes it more neutral. But you could do that right now in the present moment by decreasing the level of importance, by seeing yourself as already accomplishing it and feeling that that's just a part of who you are. That's what I've done, is I see myself as successful because I am successful, because I do and am just embodying that completely. I have the work ethic for it, but the work ethic is tied into my passion. And now I'm realizing that the less I do, it's like the more leveraged actions I take, the more actually happens, versus before it was just the more actions I take, the more results that I get. So that was something that's really profoundly changed my life. The second one I want to share has to do with what are called pendulums. Now, those pendulums that I explained are like those thought structures, but there's also pendulums around like family structures, right? Like I help my dad out because my dad works 24-hour shifts, and I help him with one of my younger sisters. And she is dealing with a lot of stuff right now with her mom, because her mom is my ex-stepmom, and her mom was, I kind of shared in my videos before, and her mom is abusive. Her mom is very demeaning and controlling. And my little sister, she's trying to get out of that. She's doing everything she can to get out of that. And it's hard for her because she's blood, so, you know, when it comes to the courts and stuff, the mom has so much more power than that, even though the mom is like the way she is, you know, like just the kind of energy she has and the things that she's done has been completely wrong in the past. It's like my dad really has to prove that, because my dad's like such a nice guy, right? So my sister and my dad, I help them out every now and then, and like I'll help drive her places and stuff like that. And there's sometimes drama that comes along with it, and this drama is stuff that I can almost sometimes get myself caught into, because I feel bad for her, because I went through that. I went through what she went through when I was like 7 to 15 years old, but after 15 I'd never had to deal with it again, because she's not my blood and my dad divorced her. So it's like she kind of has to deal with it because that's her biological mom, and it's kind of it's hard for me to see, because I want to help her. Like I want to get involved and try to facilitate it so that it happens easier for her, because there's all this court stuff that they're dealing with, because she's not letting her, stay at my dad's as much as she wants and stuff. So it's this complicated thing, but the reason I'm sharing that with you is because sometimes even me, I find myself getting, knowing all this information, I get myself kind of sucked into it, but now I realize that anytime that happens, it's a pendulum. It's not necessarily my own thoughts, it's this thought structure that's trying to pull me and to say, this is, what you have to, it's like consuming my attention. So now I more so just allow, and I just let it be, and I know it will work itself out. But me getting tied up emotionally with it doesn't actually even help the situation. So the best thing I can do is just remain in my own energy, remain in my own confidence, and be there almost as a way of just like sharing that confidence with them, but not getting sucked into the drama at all. So because I'm like more not attached now, guess what? It's like that energy is very contagious, and that helps the situation, even though I, once again, am doing less. I'm not like I have to do this, 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 and this, and it makes it so much easier because it's like I don't have to get involved. I can more so observe, and that's where the power is. So I'm aware of those pendulums anytime it starts to trigger me, because situations will happen to where I just feel bad because she has to deal with all of these things, but at the same time, the best thing I can do is just be myself, to just offer more of like the energy of confidence and just like being grounded, not letting those things affect me. And by not letting it affect me, guess what? It doesn't affect them as much either. They kind of see that as an example. So that's one example. That's something that I've definitely realized when it comes to these pendulums, is that there's pendulums around any thought structure that's been there, and it's kind of like pulling the energy one way or the other. But what you can do is just allow it to be, and as you allow it to be and you're aware of it, it no longer sucks you in. Now the third one I want to share has to do with money. And this has definitely changed the way I see the whole entire process. Some of it I kind of honestly already knew a little bit, but it's made me kind of just see it from a more expanded point of view. So money in general, when it comes to reality transurfing, the focus is on that money is not the actual goal. Like money can't be the goal, because money is something the heart doesn't connect to. The heart doesn't understand that money equals freedom, or money equals security. You see, the brain does. The brain goes, oh yeah, the money means I can go do this, travel here, and do that. But the brain, or the heart, is more so connected to a feeling. And the most powerful thing you can do is to start to tag money onto your passion. What are you passionate about? So instead, what I focus on is what I love to do, which is create videos, create content, help people understand things, help people expand their awareness. And what I do is I focus on what I can do in those aspects. And guess what? Because my focus is more on that, the money comes anyways. It comes much easier. Now, this is another part of reality transurfing that's powerful when it comes to money. If you align your inner intention, or not the, okay, so there's inner intention, outer intention. Inner intention is what we traditionally know, it's like the law of attraction, it's like taking action. What can you do in order to change your life, right? Outer intention is more so, how can you let the universe do things with you? How can you trust in the process? How can you allow more so than try to always control? And that's more so, it has to do with beliefs, it has to do with a couple other factors as well. But what you can do is, in order to create abundance in your life and more money, what I've learned, and I'll explain this in how I found this before I even found reality transurfing, is that if you align with other people's inner intention, you create abundance for yourself. Now, this is what they talk about in the book. Now, let me give you an example. I used to work at Barney's New York, which is a sales commission job. I sold like women's shoes. They were like $1,200 pair of shoes. I worked there for years while I was going to college, and then up until about a year and a half ago when I quit so I could do YouTube full time. Or until, August of last year. So what happened is I would pay attention to my mindset as I would go into work every day. And I could see a direct reflection as to my mindset, my feeling, and what I got for the day, or what I experienced for the day as far as financially, because I only got paid commission. There wasn't really an hourly. It was mainly I got paid a certain percentage of everything I sold. So if I sold like $4,000 or $5,000 worth, which is really only like 5 or 6 pairs of shoes, that would be like a certain amount of money. That'd probably be like $200-300 worth of commission. And I would focus on that or more. So like my goal was at least making $200 to $300 a day. And I would go into work, and I realized that anytime I went into work and I was focused just on me, like how much money can I make, I wouldn't do as well as if I went into work and then started to apply towards people inner intention. Now, I didn't know this at the time, it's called inner intention or any of that, but I would focus on the value that I could bring to the people I was helping. So people were coming to find shoes, to feel a certain way, to get something to match something else, whatever it is. I would focus on how I could serve them, and by doing that, I was aligning with their inner intentions, and they would feel that. They would know that it was more genuine versus like, this is better, you should get this, you should do this, more so like inner intention, just, you know, how can you add money to my paycheck? So it's a different mentality, but guess what? Every day that I would do that, I would sell way more than the days where I was just focused on myself and like almost like those selfish type goals of only how can I make myself better. So it's more of a win-win scenario from the other perspective. So guess what I focus on now? Doing YouTube full time. It's not about how many products can I sell or how many views can I get. It's more so how much value can I add to other people and how can I help other people solve their own problems? How can I help people raise their level of awareness? Because when I have that perspective, guess what? That perspective links up with possibly your desire to expand your level of awareness or to solve your problems or to have a more of an expanded point of view. That's more so linked to your inner intention because you're most likely not thinking, how can I just give this guy money? How can I, help him and improve his life? Most likely you're thinking of how can you expand your own awareness, and because of that, I can align with your inner intention, help you do that, and a natural side effect of that is more money coming. So it's about understanding that, and that's something that's changed my life. So maybe you can ask yourself, what are ways that I can transform my relationship with money? How can I more so focus on my passion than anything else? And once I find my passion, how can I possibly give that information, give that service to other people, and see it as how I help other people? Because as you do that, you're aligning to other people's inner intention, and they're much more likely to work with you or to give you money in some way for solving their problems. So that's something you can focus on, and I think that if you do that, you'll find that everything changes. Now, when it comes to decrease in level of importance, what I did is I created a free meditation that will help you to wire in those ideas of reality transurfing and also to decrease the level of importance you're giving to any manifestation, which will help you increase the probability that it happens. So I think this can profoundly change your life. This is something that you can listen to for 21 days, I think, to get the best benefit out of it. Something that's in the top of the description box below, so if that's something you're interested, feel free to download that. And like I said, I think 21 days is a good barrier for you to really start to get the results that you want. So remember, these are the 3 things that changed my life when it comes to reality transurfing. The first one, just being more aware of how I can decrease importance and see myself as already the success I want, mainly just allowing things to happen. Secondly, I can let go of pendulums that continue to run themselves out and be aware anytime I'm getting triggered to think a certain way. And then thirdly, transforming my idea of money instead of just paper idea of what it is, connect to my passion and then align with people's inner intention to add value to them. And as I do that, I've grown more than I ever have in my life. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that little notification gear next to the subscribe button so that you can see the daily videos I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.